We want to solve for x. So we can see we have an equation, and we notice that x is all over the place. At first, this looks a little scary because we're dealing with fractions, we're dealing with variables, but as long as we think of order of operations and we work within order of operations, this won't be that difficult. The first thing I'd like for you to do when dealing with fractions is realize that your fraction bar, this division sign right here, is actually grouping your numerator from your denominator, and that's the same on both. So we can think of this up here as a group, this up here is a group, down here is a group, and down here is a group. So before I even bother to try to solve for x, I'm going to ask myself, is there anything that I can simplify first? So is there anything I can simplify first? And the first thing I want to say to you is yes, I can simplify this part right here because they're similar terms, they're like terms. 30x plus 6x. So I'm going to simplify that first. And that gives me 36x, and that was my numerator, divided by 2x. And then I look over here, is there anything I can simplify here in that parentheses? And the answer is no, because I have 3x here and simply a 15. I can't combine them. They're not like terms. Okay, so I'm still going to ask myself the same question. Can I simplify anything here? Well, I'm looking, I have a 36x term and a 2x term, and they're being divided. So yes, I can simplify. I can simplify now by division. Okay? I want to point out there's more than one way that you could go about doing this problem, but I'm trying to take it the simplest way of solving it first. So that's another way that I can simplify. So if I look at these in pieces, I have the number 36 divided by 2. So I can go ahead and I can divide that. And then I have x divided by x. Well, 36 divided by 2 is 18. And x divided by x is 1. So that would be the same as 18 times 1. I'm going to go ahead and write that like this, 18 times 1. But I know that 18 times 1 is just 18, so I can simply write 18. So that leaves me with this simplified as such. Okay. So now remember that this is being grouped up here. I cannot divide both of these terms by x's. So I want to get x out of the denominator. So as long as I multiply by x on this side, notice this is in the numerator, this gives me x divided by x. Okay, so that would actually divide out to 1, so that's good. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Since I introduced multiplying everything on the right side by x, I have to multiply everything on the left side by x. So that's going to help me to get that x out of the denominator. So we see here x divided by x, that is actually the number 1, and I did write the number 1 there. So then that leaves me with 18x is equal to, well, this is 1 times all of this, so that just leaves me with 3x plus 15. Okay, so that is not as scary anymore. That looks just like a normal Algebra 1 problem. So I want to get my x's together. So think about undoing. So I want to get this 3x out of there. So what's the opposite of having a positive 3x? Well, if I want to turn it into a 0, I have to subtract 3x. Remember, what I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other side of the equation. Keep it balanced. So now I have 18x minus 3, so that gives me 15x. And remember, I did this on purpose because I wanted this to turn into a 0. 3x minus 3x makes that become a 0. And then I'm left with just plus 15. Okay, almost done. I don't want 15 x's, I just want 1x. So in order for me to get this to be 1, if I divide 15 by 15, that becomes 1. What I do to one side of the equals, I have to do to the other side of the equals. So here, I see that 15 divided by 15, that leaves me with 1. So that just gives me x, and of course 15 divided by 15 is 1. So I can see x equals 1, and I've solved the problem. In fact, if we were going to go ahead and check, let's go ahead and check our answer. I'm going to substitute in 1 for everywhere that I see an x. So that's going to be 30 times 1 plus 6 times 1 divided by 2 times 1, and that should equal 3 times 1 plus 15, and that's all divided by 1. So it's just basic arithmetic now. So what do I have? I have 30 plus 6 divided by 2 equals 3 plus 15 divided by 1. So that gives me 36 divided by 2, and that should equal 18. And so 36 divided by 2 is 18. So I know I solved this problem correctly.